Today marks 23 years since thousands of Americans lost their lives in horrific terrorist attacks on our country.
9/11 has since evolved into Patriot Day and a day of remembrance and service. Many tri-state residents served their communities today in an effort to never forget the lives lost on that day. Volunteers, members of the American Legion, and a group for the National Day of Remembrance spent the day cleaning up the grounds around the Quincy National Cemetery. Every headstone in the cemetery was washed. Volunteers say they were happy to show their appreciation to those who have served.
We're just cleaning the dirt off, and cleaning, just kind of sprucing it up a little bit, just showing our respect. And that's what we're doing today. Just, watering nice soft bristle, just taking the dirt off and cleaning the grass off. And just as we would as to our family members, you go out and clean. We're doing the same thing to people we don't know, but we respect them.
All the volunteers signed a Patriot Day flag as well.
Well, Patriot Day also was observed this morning at Quincy City Hall. Officials and community residents gathered in the parking lot for a short remembrance ceremony. That's where you can find a piece of the World Trade Center antenna permanently placed. New York City returned it to Quincy about a dozen years ago. It supported Building Number 1's television broadcasting antenna designed and manufactured in Quincy by the Harris Corporation. Attendees took a moment of silence as taps played.
First responders were there to help everybody out as much as they can, and of course we know there's lots of loss of life by civilians and by members of all the public safety agencies that day. So just a nice remembrance or a memorial of all those people that lost their lives on that day, and I cannot thank the American Legion Post 37 enough.
Well, the American Legion and volunteers went to spruce up Quincy's National Cemetery after that ceremony.